It was supposed to be just another quiet evening in private arguments, emotional strain, and the unraveling of a life that had seemed ordinary, even stable, from the outside. Authorities were called to the scene and immediately recognized the situation as a murder-suicide. Police examined the home for clues. Testimonies from friends and neighbors painted a picture destroy everything. If this case shook you, if it made you think, question, or feel something, tell me in the comments. What warning signs do you think were missed? If you enjoy learning about the hidden truths of crime stories, consider hitting that like button and subscribing for more content like this. And please comment below to let me know where you're listening from. intent and left behind a nightmare. The new year didn't bring joy to the Bushnell family. It brought death. This is the chilling story of Jerome L. Davis and the New Year homicide that ended the life of Calvin Bushnell. Case introduction. Calvin Bushnell was only 28 years old, calm, respectful, and known for his kindness. He wasn't the kind of man who invited trouble. He wasn't reckless or confrontational. His friends described him as gentle, quiet, and trustworthy. Jerome L. Davis was the opposite, unpredictable, emotionally volatile, constantly shifting between charm and sudden aggression. Those who knew him said he carried tension, like a storm following him everywhere. And on January 1st, these two paths collided in the most tragic way imaginable. The scene: Phoenix, Arizona, a small home, a celebration that had quieted down, and an argument that would escalate into a deadly confrontation. What happened inside that home would shock even seasoned detectives. New Year's Eve bled slowly into the early morning hours. Calvin and a few friends were unwinding, laughing, talking about resolutions, the typical calm after the midnight excitement. Davis arrived later, unexpected, uninvited by some accounts, but familiar enough that no one turned him away. At first he seemed relaxed, even cheerful, but beneath the surface, something was simmering, a quiet resentment, a jealousy, a need to assert dominance. Witnesses would later recall small moments, tense looks, muttered comments, subtle signs Davis wasn't in a stable state of mind. At around 2 a.m., the atmosphere shifted. A disagreement started. No one remembers exactly how it began. Alcohol, past grudges, a misunderstood joke, but everyone remembers how quickly Davis snapped. His voice rose. Calvin tried to calm him down. Others stepped back, sensing danger they couldn't quite explain. And then Davis left the room, but not the house. That moment, that short walk down a hallway, would be the dividing line between life and tragedy. Because when Jerome Davis returned, he wasn't empty-handed. In his grip was a gun, cold, heavy, and loaded. The next moments unfolded with brutal speed. Davis confronted Calvin face to face. No warning, no negotiation, just rage. A single shot cracked through the house, a violent eruption that shattered the New Year calm. The sound echoed across the walls as Calvin collapsed, gasping, trying to understand what had just happened. Witnesses froze in shock. Some screamed, some ran, some couldn't move at all. Calvin Bushnell lay on the floor, a young man whose life had been ripped away by one impulsive, unforgiving act. The room fell silent, except for panicked breaths and the horrifying realization that someone they trusted had just committed murder. But Davis wasn't finished. He fled, sprinting out of the house, disappearing into the night, leaving behind the dead body of a man whose only mistake was trying to keep the peace. It was a senseless killing, a preventable tragedy, and the beginning of a manhunt. The Phoenix Police Department responded within minutes. Officers secured the home, questioned witnesses, and began piecing together the chaotic moments leading up to the shooting. The details aligned quickly. Jerome L. Davis had been unstable for months. He had a history of anger issues, and on that night, he had access to a weapon he should never have been near. Detectives interviewed everyone present, mapping out the argument, the escalation, and the fatal shot. Within hours, Davis was identified as the prime suspect. By the next day, he was arrested. But the deeper investigators looked, the darker the case became. Davis showed no remorse, no guilt, no acknowledgement of the life he stole. He claimed he was provoked, a claim completely dismissed by every witness at the party. What emerged wasn't a story of self-defense. It wasn't a moment of fear. It wasn't confusion. It was a man who let anger take full control and used a gun to end another man's life. Courtrooms are designed to be neutral, unemotional spaces. But when Davis entered the courtroom for his trial, even the air felt tense, as if everyone could feel the weight of what he had done. Prosecutors laid out the case clearly. Davis escalated the conflict. Davis retrieved the weapon. Davis intentionally shot Calvin. Calvin posed no threat. Witnesses testified. Detectives presented evidence, and the Bushnell family watched every moment, grieving, shaking, holding on to each other as they relived the worst night of their lives. The jury didn't take long. Jerome L. Davis was found guilty of murder. His sentence, life in prison. For Calvin's family, it wasn't closure, because closure doesn't exist when someone you love is taken away. But it was justice. Justice for a son, a brother, a friend, a man who deserved to see the new year. And all the years after, what makes this case so disturbing isn't just the violence, it's the speed at which a human being can descend into darkness. Davis wasn't a serial killer. He wasn't a career criminal. He wasn't someone lurking in shadows or hunting victims. He was a man who couldn't control his anger, a momentary storm of ego, insecurity, and rage that transformed into irreversible tragedy. This case shows how fragile human judgment can be, how quickly a person can cross the line between conflict and catastrophe.